Hey, what's up, everybody? The VC here, coming at you with another video about anything and everything. Nothing's off the table. It's all about common sense, alright? I mean, what's so hard about common sense? And that's what I bring at the VC here. So subscribe, whether you're on YouTube or on Rumble. If you want to follow me on Rumble or subscribe on YouTube, doesn't matter. Alright. What matters is I like to bring a perspective, a common sense perspective to things. And so let's talk about it, alright? So how about Carmelo Anthony, all right? They're giving you two of them, right? You got the basketball player retired, and then you have the murderer, all right? Man, the story about this guy was this was what took place in Texas, and let's see if we get some images about of the people involved here. Not the, it's funny how they're the basketball player. Yeah, these two guys here. You have Austin Metcalf, you have Carmelo Anthony, not the basketball player. All right, and I guess the story of it goes is that um, there was some sort of whatever school function happening, and they have tents set up for people to sit in certain places where you're supposed to sit. And the story goes that dude walked into a particular tent and it was the wrong one, right? He said that you're supposed to be in this other one. So this was where dude Austin Metcalf confronted him and said, "Hey, you're in the wrong one. You got to go to the other one. Because this is this particular school's tent. You're in the wrong school's tent. They're set up by schools." And the rundown goes that supposedly he says, "Touch me and see what happens," type of thing, right? If you have school football player being told something like that, their ego's up there too, right? So he brought, and that's the part where it's unclear, like if there's any malice or intent, right? Did he touch him, or push them, or did he shove them, anything like that whatsoever? All right. So that's the question. We don't know. All right. Only the people that inside the tent knows. All this other stuff, right? And so something triggered an event to where all of a sudden dude pulls out a knife out of his backpack, stabs the dude in the chest. He runs off, and then he gets caught by police and arrested and charged for murder, right? Because he had the murder weapon, killed the dude. I mean, it's almost like case closed, right? And then that's what the story goes. So there's a lot of questions, right, to what happened, and at first there was a bond set at $1 million, but you had a woke judge drop it down because of there's pressure by, let's just say, the Black Lives Matters interest and of that type, right? The far left, the liberals. Oh, no, no, that's too much. It's too much. You got to lower the bond. $250,000 bond. So it went from $1 million to a $250,000 bond, and then to bail out, usually you only got to pay like a percentage of that. So that's what happened. He bailed out on conditions that he has to wear an ankle monitor till he has to go to court, or whatever, that sort of thing. But he's released on bond, which is kind of like, wow, kind of crazy for someone that just killed somebody, and you still get out on bond. And it's clearly to me a black and white thing, just like how DEI is reverse discrimination, to reward anybody that doesn't really have any skills or anything like that, just because it's a almost, you could say, it's a black and white thing with DEI. All right, affirmative action. If you want to go back to the '90s, shit like that. So, should this guy have gotten out on bail? From the things of it, all right, let's look at it. One is, what the hell are you doing with a weapon at school? You know what I'm saying? Like, let alone carrying a knife at school, right? That in itself, even though because that sort of stuff is not allowed at schools, why would he have that? Why was it? How come he's not in trouble for carrying a knife to school? You know what I'm saying? And so that's questions like that to be asked. And then you'll have these liberals saying, "Oh, because he's trying to protect himself," because and in that particular town of Frisco, Texas, there's a lot of discrimination of blacks and blah blah blah. Shut the fuck up, It's stupid shit like that. I think what needs to be clear, well, witnesses and people that have known this guy here, Carmelo Anthony, have said that, well, he has a reputation for getting into fights all the time. I mean, that's a telling thing, right? But for woke people and all that, it's just crazy how they're doing these things where it's clearly black and white, and it's just stupid, right? Like, why don't you just play it down without being racial? Just look at it as it is, all right? And intent, context, all that stuff. Let's look at it. Look, and without looking at it as a skin color thing. I mean, when you look at it like that, clearly, dude murdered dude. All right, let's just look at it like that. Guy, let's just no colors. All right, guy carries a knife, sits in the wrong tent. Okay, he's being told to leave. Dude says, "Touch me and see what happens." All right, so dude, that part's not clear. Did dude touch him? Did dude shove him? Or did dude just point at him and say, "Hey, you gotta get out of here, dude"? That's the part that's not clear, as far as I know. And so, um, by reacting to pull out a knife, stab the dude in the chest, and run. Of course, the first line of defense is going to say, "Oh, I ran because I was scared." Right? Every time people run from cops and stuff, or they hide because they did something, is because you know they obviously did something wrong and they know it. All right, so that's the crazy part. Let me look at the New York Post here real quick and let's see what happened, what is being said. All right, because this happened earlier in the week, and so let's see here. Austin Metcalf's dad reveals he was disrespected after being thrown out of Karmelo. Hope to pray with accuser's family. Okay, so the father. Hold on, let me just. All right, let me just look at this. No, let me just keep going here. So, the father of Austin Metcalf said he hoped he could pray with his family, the family of the son's alleged killer, but wound up feeling disrespected when he showed up at a press conference organized by the accused slayer's kin and got thrown out. The family held a press conference in Dallas. He was allowed to leave jail on house arrest. He got bailed out and on house arrest, and got placed on house arrest. The proceedings came to a halt when Austin's father showed up out of the blue, only to be escorted out by a pack of Dallas cops. He thought it could have been handled differently. They said they should have pulled me up and said, "Hey, we're sorry, our condolences." The only thing I would have said yes was, "Can we pray together and show the world we're united?" After the impromptu appearance, both Metcalf and his wife had police called to their houses and swatting pranks. Okay. He also resigned from his real estate job Saturday, fearing for his colleagues' and clients' safety. Who? Metcalf? Let's see. Both Metcalf and his ex-wife had police called to their houses and swatting pranks. Okay. Yeah, so of course the left progressives and all that, they do shit like this, right? Like, all they do was showing up was to pray and help pray with the family. Kind of just say, hey, you know what? I understand this stuff happened, and hey, I'm not trying to go at you the wrong way, and yet look what happens. What's funny about Democrats is that they always react in that sort of way, right? Act and react in that sort of way. Like, they can't do nothing peaceful. They can't do nothing right. They always have to act out, right? Um, and so Metcalf, the dad, also resigned from his real estate job on Saturday. That was yesterday. $250,000 bond. Got bailed out. So Metcalf said that he meant no ill will by showing up to the event. He simply wanted to represent Austin in response to people disparaging him online, painting the teen as a violent bully. Metcalf said he hoped for an apology from the Anthonys for the actions of their son, who allegedly stabbed Austin in the heart during a fight at a high school track meet in Texas earlier in the month. What he did not expect was to be escorted out by Dallas police. Karmelo's mother said that lies and false accusations that have been said about us, claiming that they have put my family in danger. All right, so she's claiming that their family's in danger. I think there's obviously going to be some cell phone footage or audio or something, eyewitness. Anthony's parents had previously said he acted in self-defense when Metcalf physically attacked him, suggesting that they planned to fight their son's first-degree murder charge. But their latest statements at a private event space was delayed by half an hour on as organizers try to figure out what to do about the looming Metcalf. Okay. Activist Dominic Alexander of the Next Generation Action Network called Metcalf's visit a disrespect to the dignity of his son. Metcalf did not care for Alexander's comments. After I leave, that Dominic just gaslights the shit out of me. Says I'm disrespecting, I'm so disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. My character's been assassinated, and they've tried to assassinate my character. This is the point. We're both victims. My son's dead. Their son will be in prison, but it's the end of the day. He needs to be held accountable for his actions. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I wonder what people are saying about this. Tittles. The father of the deceased son shouldn't have gone there, even if it's in word those of prayer. Outcome will depend on what kind of judge oversees the trial. No longer we can feel confident in the justice system, probably. It all depends on who's on first and what's on second, or whatever. This would be a major trial, and if family is spending the money donated for his legal costs on new home and expensive cars, they will run out of money for any appeals. Yeah, so that Dominic Alexander dude is like trouble for the Karmelo Anthony family. So because he's gonna definitely, when it comes to any sort of BLM or any sort of action network, sort of representation or anything like that that gets involved in this sort of, if you want to call it racial black and white matter, they're definitely going to gaslight everything, which sucks. And they're going to make shit straight up like shit is what it is. And yeah, it's just stupid, like You're gonna see anything. All right, this is what's gonna happen. All right, they're gonna try to paint the innocence of Carmelo Anthony. They're gonna try to make it look like, oh, uh, Carmelo Anthony is a great kid. He did all this, and he's trying to become whatever in life. There's no way he would do this sort of thing. Bullshit, right? And then you come to find out that he has a record of, it's already been said. He fights a lot. He fights a lot of people, um, things like that, and you're gonna find that people are probably gonna be witness in testimony to actually tell the story of how it all played out, and then in the end, it's probably gonna really show that Carmelo Anthony dude actually did commit murder. Um, it's just questionable as to why you would bring a knife to school, and I don't care what anybody says. Weapons being brought to school, um, it's definitely a bad look, whether you want to claim it for self-defense or not. Um, but if it was in self-defense, you wouldn't have ran away. I don't care how you think you're scared or whatever it is that you think in your mind at the moment. If you were self-defense, you're innocent. You stay there and be like, "Hey, man, this is what happened. All right, and I'm right here. I'll stand by and you know that sort of thing." Um, but yeah, so it's gonna be interesting how this thing's gonna play out. But to me, yeah, I don't know. It's just I think based on he's almost 18, he should be charged with murder. And I don't care how they're gonna try to spin it. I don't care how they're gonna try to paint that, oh, Carmelo is such a good kid and all this other stuff. None of that. All right. Um, I think he's done, and they're gonna try to racialize this to the cows go home, and that's the sad part. They're just not gonna play it down the middle. It's gonna be very skewed, and they're gonna try to make it to where it's gonna be all one-sided. Oh, like Carmelo this, Carmelo that. But in the end, once the story is being told and played out, you're going to see that he's not such a great kid like they make it out to be. So that's going to be the part we're going to see it as we let it unravel and unfold and all that. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting though to see how it goes. But it's your typical bullshit is the only thing I don't like about it. The typical black and white thing and the Black Lives Matter type stuff. And you gotta really look further than that, all right? And that's the part that really bugs me about this whole thing is that it's the same way with that whole Daniel Penny in the subway thing in New York, where clearly, black dude was terrorizing the subway train. Alright, threatening to kill people. Daniel Penny acted in self-defense for the people in the train because dude was really, I don't care if you want to blame it on drugs, whatever. He's about to act out. Daniel Penny stepped in. He's white, kills the dude, and look what happens. He had to go through a bunch of bullshit and accusations until he was finally told, okay, through trial that, okay, he was acting on behalf of the people in the train, saving lives, and maybe he is actually a hero and saving people's lives and all that stuff. And so this whole thing kind of reminds me of that you know, it I don't know. To me, the way it, even though it's not a, not, 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 a, carrying a knife to school. It doesn't matter. Carry a gun, carry a knife. You should be carrying that shit to school. It's bad for one. Two, if you were innocent and self-defense claiming, you wouldn't have ran away. All right, I don't care what it is. And three, people have said and know people and their reputations. People know what Austin's Metcalf's reputation is. People know what Carmelo Anthony's reputation is. So that's going to play out in terms of why things happen. And I'm sure there's going to be something that's going to pop up. Cell phone videos, audio, something that's really going to be damning and really going to really show that Carmelo Anthony did kill and murdered. All right, murdered. That's what's going to happen. He murdered. I said it. All right, I don't care. Anyhow, that's what's going to happen here. But we're going to have this woke mob and, progressives and all these BLMs acting out, and they're going to try to skew and slant everything in the meantime till this all plays out. Then after that, when Carmelo Anthony gets convicted of murder, we're going to see hell breaking loose in the streets, smashing the windows, destroying property, all this other stuff in protest because it didn't go their way, and Black Lives Matter's lost again, and all this other stuff. And what do? They like to act out, and it's just they feel like they deserve everything, but they deserve nothing. All right, and that's the problem. So they're gonna play this, Cry Me a River and all this stuff. My son is so purely innocent. I'm blah blah blah, and we're going to see that the cow's going to come home to roost. He's going to be put in the slammer for capital murder. I don't give a shit. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Sounds harsh, but it's real. And you got to play it like it is, though, all right? I already explained in story mode without using color or skin what happened. And based on, he should be thrown in prison. All right, and being that 17, it's okay. You can be held in county up until 18, and boom, go to the adult prison. All right, so that's my thoughts on that. Let me just think. I know it's harsh, but real. All right, subscribe to the bell icon on Rumble, YouTube, all that good stuff. Thank you, and I'll see you next one.